Hey guys, it is time for another mini episode. I guess we should call this one 37.5.
Yeah.
And given that it's coming up on Halloween, we thought we would do some of our paragraph writing, which tends to have a Halloweenish flair because that's when we seem to do this the most. I don't know if it's the weather change that makes us get creative or what, but
Yeah.
so each of us will read two pieces. Now, don't forget, this is what we do to work on our writing skills. These are not edited. Um, what we do, and if you can find a partner to do this with, it really helps you work on your writing skills, is you just start a paragraph. Sometimes it's just a sentence, something that hits me, and I'll send it to Taylor and say, go with it. And she'll write, and then she'll send it back to me, and I'll write. And it helps us work on all kinds of writing skills. It could be descriptions that we're working on. It could be, story ideas that we're working on. But it's a really great way to get your juices flowing and to keep your writing skills up. And so we thought we would share some more. We did it before in another episode way back when, maybe episode 17.5 or something. I don't remember.
It was in April. I don't know.
So yeah, way back in the beginning. I think we started this podcast in January, the end of January. So we thought it was time to do another one. It's time for us to start writing some more of these. So
Definitely
hopefully we'll have some new stuff to work with, because some of these are really old and our writing has changed a lot. But I think it's helpful for you all to hear what we've written and what you can do to work on your writing skills with just simple, because she works and I work, and I'll have a free 5 minutes and I'll write a paragraph and I'll just send it to her. And then I'm busy. And meanwhile, she sends it back to me, and we go back and forth over the day, over a couple of days. And it's exciting, and it doesn't take a lot of time out, and yet it works and hones your writing skill. So
yeah, no, it's awesome. I love doing it.
So you go ahead and start with what you found first. It's so funny because some of these I can't even tell who wrote what.
Oh, I absolutely can't. As I was reading through these, it's pretty impressive how seamlessly our paragraph writings fit together.
Mm-hmm.
So this first one that I have is called A Different Kind of Music. And it was actually one of the longer ones that we had. So I took the first page because I thought the first page was great. So I'll just jump into it.
Okie doke.
I let my fingers glide over the strings of my cello and listen to the beautiful sounds my instrument could make. I ignored the crowd, their odd murmuring, a different kind of music I wasn't interested in at the moment. When the song I was playing turned into a piece reflecting anger, the notes fast and furious, a scream erupted in the crowd. At first I ignored it, but when it was obvious people were getting up from their seats, shouting curses, I stopped playing. Punches were flying, kicks landing. I frowned, setting my cello down. Hey, I yelled, bewildered. What's... Something slammed into me from the side. I found myself on the smooth stage floor, barely missing my cello. I was more concerned about my cello's safety than what had hit me until pain exploded in my scalp as my hair was yanked up and my head followed suit. I managed to twist my head around and see what had a hold of me. It was the stage manager. For a moment, he looked down at me with eyes hot and angry, and then his expression slackened and he stared down at his hand, wrapped tightly in my brown hair, in horror. I could hear a change in the audience as well. Murmurs broke out, and I could see people milling about as if they were befuddled by what had happened. The stage manager released my hair as if fire had leapt from it. He started bowing apologetically, stammering in an attempt to explain his behavior. I staggered to my feet, stepping away from the instrument so that I wouldn't fall on it if he decided to attack me again. I rubbed my head, frowning at my manager. He still hadn't really found the words to explain himself. What was I supposed to do, call the cops? I looked out over the crowd, and they all seemed as baffled as the rest of us.
Wow.
Yeah.
I remember that one.
Yeah, I remember enjoying writing it, and we went on it for a long time, and I didn't read the rest of it. I read a couple of pages, and I decided to do the first page. But I remember we had a really, really good time with this one.
Yeah. I mean, and the other thing that this kind of writing does is it just sparks all kinds of imagination. Those what if questions start popping into your head, and it could lead to, I mean, we've got so many of these that it could lead to novels at some point. We want to write together at some point.
Yeah.
And but I think we need to find our own place before we can merge into a duo. But it's just listening to that already. My brain was starting to think, what if this and what if that? What could that be?
Yeah, it was a fun one. I really like this one. I think one because we titled it a different kind of music and then used that line
Mm-hmm.
in the writing itself on the first page. And I also just enjoy music in general. I used to play violin, and I wish that I had played cello. So this one also like spoke to me on that level as well. So
Interesting.
yeah,
Yeah, music, is intriguing to me, and I think music magic has so many possibilities.
yeah,
uh,
yeah.
that's fascinating. Well, I've got one called The Graveyard.
Okay,
I do like it's the time of year for horror, and it is one of at some point I'm going to have to write a horror novel. I'm just going to have to.
absolutely, yes.
But so this one's called The Graveyard. Why do things always seem so rational when you're drunk? Eddie asked, grabbing my arm as we crept towards the graveyard. I bit back a giggle, definitely feeling the vodka. He had a point. When we had been sitting in the apartment doing shots, going to check out the graveyard on All Hallows Eve had sounded like a grand idea. Not that I didn't think it was any less reasonable at the moment, though that could still be the vodka talking. The night was perfect. The full moon rose gigantic above us, making the shadows from the tree branches waver on the grass as we walked. It was all very eerie, just what a Halloween night should be. And really, how often is it a full moon on Halloween? Eddie slowed, pulling my arm as we neared the first of the tombstones. Cold breath hung in the night before us as we panted. I think I've changed my mind, he whispered, as if somehow the dead could hear us and would be offended by loud noises in the night. Oh, Eddie, I sighed, rolling my eyes. Not the bravest soul was Eddie. We're already here. Let's just check it out. At his hesitation, I sighed again, though this time with a little bit of impatience. Look, I promise I can do Buffy like the best of them, I told him, removing his hand from my forearm. If any vampires should appear, I'll jujitsu them. I had been doing really well in my martial arts class. I felt quite sure I could handle anything that appeared, whether supernatural or not. Not that that would happen. You did grab the stuff, right? I asked him, advancing further beyond the headstones. I read off the names silently, adding in, oh, I bet you were a partier, or you were someone who'd stay in and read all night, weren't you? Yeah, Eddie said a little uncertainly. He reached into his enormous pockets and pulled out several mini whiskey bottles. I found myself wishing women's pants had such handy pockets. Are you sure about this? This was your idea, remember? No, he mumbled, following me with odd, jerky movements that betrayed his fear. Did you know, I said, taking a bottle from him when he offered it, that the veil between our world and the one in which the spirits reside is super thin on Halloween? Stop it, Eddie said. I gave him a look. All these people are dead, Eddie. I won't have to Buffy out. It's a good thing you're not really Buffy, a new voice chimed in from behind me. I spun around and Eddie jumped behind me, peering at the newcomer over my shoulder. He was dressed like a vampire, and I must say his costume was pretty cool, and no doubt expensive. This was why Eddie and I were doing shots at our apartment rather than going out to parties. We couldn't afford any of the cool costumes. Cute, I said. I do have these, though, I added, pulling out the Gothic crosses that Eddie had found us at Goodwill. The guy hissed a bit and backing away. Really dramatic. I liked his makeup as well. Some guys couldn't get away with wearing the black eyeliner, but he looked sexy, smoldering even. Great acting, I commented. Are you here alone? With that costume, you got to be on the way to a party. He looked at me, his black hair hanging in his eyes. His hair was a bit longer than I preferred, but it did look good on him. He smiled a slow smile, and I felt my heart race a bit. It doesn't take a lot of people to make a party, he said. Somehow I felt that was meant as a come on. Well, you could join us, Eddie said over my shoulder. I rolled my eyes. No doubt another guy made him feel a bit safer. Obviously, he wasn't so sure about my Buffy skills. I turned to Eddie. I'm sure in that getup he's got someplace else to be. Amusement glittered in the vampire's eyes. You don't look so bad yourself, he said, giving me a sexy smile.
Is
Interesting.
that
Huh?
it?
Yeah.
What? Wow. Goodness. Well, it was interesting. I didn't remember going that long on that one.
It actually has several pages more, but I haven't read those to know what they were about.
Oh, fabulous.
We went a long time on that one.
We did.
To me, it was starting to get a romance feel to it.
That, and it almost felt, well, and maybe this is just me, just because my writing has grown so much. I think that one was from like 2014. And since my writing has grown so much, that to me almost felt, juvenile is not the right word, but just like, yeah.
I agree. And as I read, as glancing through it, the spells that they cast spells, and they're actually in words that, that might be an episode we need to do about how to do magic. We've done magical systems, but how to actually, should it be spells? Should it be Latin words? Should it be whatever? And it looks like we use Latin, which I took 4 years of Latin in high school, and then I took Latin in college. So I do the Latin thing, but,
right.
Should you do that with spells? Does it take your reader out of the story when you do that kind of thing?
I think that would be interesting to talk about, actually, because I already have thoughts about it. So
okay,
yeah.
We'll do that as an episode at some point.
Cool.
Okay, you got another one?
Yes, I do. It's called The Basement, and it's also from 2014. So
that sounds good.
All right. It's not funny, I cried, trying to keep the door to the stairs open as my brother pushed against it. I'm going to tell Mom. My cry did nothing, and I shouldn't have expected it to. Mom wasn't herself these days, and finding me locked in the basement wasn't likely even to be a blip on her apathetic radar. The door slammed in my face and everything went dark. The light hadn't worked for years, and no one had gotten around to replacing it. No one ever came down here anymore, not since Dad. The only reason I ventured this far was because Hanson had thrown my book down the stairs, the book I needed for my book report, which was, of course, due tomorrow. I ceased moving, barely breathing. It wasn't a good idea to cry or to make any kind of noise at all once the darkness fell. No one believed me, but I could feel it, just on the stairs, waiting. I know you're in here, I heard, but it sounded like they were trying to sing while whispering, a creepy echoing kind of sound. It's okay, Katie, I told myself. It's just your mind playing tricks because you're scared. A whispering chuckle answered me, and that was it. Hanson, I screamed. Hanson, please. I hit the door hard, over and over, but Hanson didn't come to rescue me from this darkness in which he'd condemned me. My hands were cold and shaking like the rest of me. My knees were threatening to let me slip down the stairs. I was trapped, and it may as well have been a cave-in for the danger it posed. I faced the basement, giving up my assault on the door. I blinked away the tears in my eyes, not that it mattered. It was too dark to see anything anyway. Who are you? I asked the inky blackness. And that was it.
Love that.
It was good.
Oh yeah, my God, I love it.
We had some really good word choice in here. I really enjoyed the, it wasn't likely to be a blip on her apathetic radar. I thought that was
that
great.
Too.
Yeah. So we had some really good word choice in here. And I want to know, she's obviously known about whatever presence is down in her basement. Is it her dad? We don't know.
Yeah. What happened to her dad? Did her dad die down there? And that's why no one goes down there anymore?
Right.
I mean, did he disappear? That is so good.
Yeah.
I love that.
I enjoyed that one. I definitely would add a lot more description. I would add more thoughts on Katie's half of it. It's in first person, so I think I would add a lot more about, she's terrified to be in here. So I would add a lot more description about that terror and that kind of thing, so.
But, like we said, this is just paragraph writing. We go back and forth. We don't edit. We're not allowed to edit. We just write what comes and send it back and forth, which has a purpose. It's something that is it's a really good exercise in writing. And I think I am so blessed to have a partner that I can write with. And a lot of
Me
people
too.
don't have that.
Yeah.
They're all by themselves, and they have nobody to bounce things off of. And even when you're in a writer's group, it's not the same thing as the connection that you and I have. We've been writing
Right.
for years and years and bouncing ideas off each other for years and years.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Well, the next one I've got is called Be Careful What You Wish For. And I haven't read this one. It's a page and a half, so bear with me. I couldn't remember seeing that shop in that part of town before. I figured it must be one of those Halloween shops that opens seasonally and doesn't stay in one place often. Certainly fit the bill. Creepy and dark, a musty smell wafting from the creaking door, which swung gently in the breeze that I couldn't feel. The shop owner stood on the sidewalk and grinned at me. His teeth were blackened, making his smile more of a leer than an inviting visage, which I supposed it was meant to be. He beckoned me inside. His costume was not one of the best I had seen, and it looked like it had seen better days. No wonder he was trying to cultivate customers. I took pity on him and decided to check it out. I am the biggest Halloween geek after all. It was dark inside and incredibly dusty, but I kept my face passive as I looked around because the owner had followed me inside. Bless his heart. He was probably excited to have someone checking out the place. I knew at that moment I would have to buy something to make him feel good. Cool place, I said, looking around. It was very cluttered, filled with scary masks and frighteningly realistic cobwebs. It was more colorful than I had expected it to be from looking at it from the outside, despite the dark lighting. It almost reminded me of a creepy all-Halloween special of Party City. The shop owner only grinned at me when I looked back at him, showing off his teeth. Up closer, they were even more impressive, the effect excusing the rest of his outfit for not being as great. When did you come to town? I asked. When you walked by, of course, he grated. I wrinkled my brow at that odd statement and gave a short laugh. The guy wasn't very social, to say the least, though perhaps he was trying to stay in character. I wandered around the store and found several really cool decorations that I thought might work for my office. We all got into Halloween and had a friendly competition each year trying to outdo each other. Some of this stuff was really authentic looking. I've got to say, this stuff's pretty neat, I told the shopkeeper who was following me around as I browsed. Though it might not be a bad idea to clean it up just a bit, the dust is thick in some areas. He didn't say anything, so I turned around to glance at him. He was still leering at me. What an odd duck. I picked up a potion bottle that had some unidentifiable liquid inside. There was no label on the bottle, which was green and dirty, but I could envision putting one on that called the contents bat blood or something. Sorry about that.
That's a weird sentence.
Yeah. Do you come here every year? I asked. I've never seen your store before. Again with the silence. Maybe it was time to pick out a few things and get out of here. And that's all we have.
Interesting. The version I had, and I guess so after this, must have been what you wrote since you had a longer version. But the version I had ended where it was, when did you come to town? And he was like, well, when you walked by, of course. And so I think that is such an interesting end to paragraph writing or a story in general. Like, how weird would that be to be like, oh, when did you get to town? It's like, oh, when you walked by. It's like, excuse me?
What?
I like
crazy.
that one.
I do too. I like all of our paragraph writing. I mean, some of it has issues with the editing. I mean, clearly, yeah. I want to emphasize people that this is not edited. It's just back and forth writing. It's to work on our actual writing skill and to help our brains spark. I'm very excited to do that. We'll do another one of these episodes with the new stuff because our writing has changed a lot.
It has changed a lot. Yeah. It's definitely changed a lot. As we read these and as I'm going through them to pick which ones I want to use. I don't think we've done one since like 2016. It's been like 4 years. And I know I've changed a lot since then. And every time I read them to pick ones out for this, I edit them in my head.
I do too. I know.
And it's like, oh, did I write that? Because,
But that's the point. We're not about the editing and making this a perfect piece of writing.
right.
It's about, number one, writing.
Yeah.
Number one, that's the number one thing. It's a way to get us to write, and you don't learn without writing. So
Right.
number one, it's to get us to write. Number two, it's to spark ideas, get those juices flowing. Think how many novel ideas we could have from these things. And honestly, we have both, I think, taken some of our paragraph writings as our own. I think the novel that you and I were starting to work together, The Witch Wall, did that
Oh,
start as a paragraph?
I think it did.
I think it did too.
That one, and then we had a bookstore one that we were interested in
Mhm.
for a while. Jesus, I've had some alcohol.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Was that all that you had? You already did two, and I did too?
Yes.
Well, that's what we got. We wanted to just do a real quick mini. It's coming up on Halloween. It give you some ideas to think about on your own. Find a partner.
Yeah.
We'd
Yeah.
be glad to be partners.
Yep. Reach out. I'm happy to work with people
And our Facebook page and Instagram page. I'm sure that y'all could connect through our pages, which would be fun. I would love to read paragraph writing that y'all do.
that'd
We
be
could
fun.
actually
Oh,
do it
that'd
on
be
our
so fun.
podcast. Yeah,
Yeah. To read other people's paragraph writings instead of just ours would be great.
that would be awesome. I would love to read your all's work. So exciting. I'm very excited about Halloween. Yeah, for our anniversary, we went to Bonefish Grill, and your father had on his Georgia mask, and the lady was like, "Oh, it's a Georgia fan." And then she looked at me and she's like, "What's yours?" And I'm like, it has witch hats on it." And she's like, "Oh." And I'm like, "Okay, it is September. It's a little early for Halloween, but I do love Halloween."
Right, right. We're like fall. We're mid-September. It's like fall now-ish, kind of.
Well, it's chilly today. We had the Hurricane Sally, is the remnants are coming through, and so I think our
Yep.
high today was 66, which is crazy.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But anyway, thank you all. We will do more of this. Let us know your paragraph writing. It's a really great way to spark your brain.
Absolutely. Thanks, guys.
All right, see you next time.